Hi, this is Jane with Scraptastic Yarns. I'm going to try this again. I did this earlier and 3 times, maybe that's the charm recording. Today is November the 15th. I've been a little busy. I've done quite a few things that have to do mostly with charity as usual. Wanted to show you that I did finish my cozy cardigan. And this is the way it came out. I really like it. I've had a lot of compliments on it. I did add a rose pin to it. It has a rose with a pin backing. That rose pattern is found at lionbrand.com. And I think it's the one that's used for the bonbons, flowers, or a rose. I can't remember what it's titled. But I do know the only thing that I changed in it is after you chain whatever length you want for the size rose you want, instead of doing a single crochet in each chain across and then starting the pattern, I did a half double crochet because I want something to hold on to while I'm actually doing the stitching to turn it into the rose. And take this off because it's hot in here. It's winter. We've got all those toasty going on in the house. Another finished item I have, I know I've told you in the past about the hospital sale that we have every year with the Naughty Knitters group. The sale is all the proceeds from the items that we've donated go to raise scholarships for the kids coming out of high school going into the medical field. And that's through the gift shop and the volunteers there at the hospital. And we have a sale each year. This year it's going to be the first week in December. And I have a couple of these that I've made, but I'm just going to show you one. We live near Penn State, Happy Valley. And so people are a little crazy for the Penn State colors. So this is a real simple two strands of yarn held together. And I used a size M hook, as in Michael. It's one of my favorites. It's a rosewood, but I don't get to use it enough. So I use that. You can use an N or a P, all the same. If you use a P, you could take it up to 3 strands and crochet them together. And this is basically 81 chains, and then you half double crochet stitch all along the chain, and that's your pattern. You just repeat that row after row till you get it the size you want. I do have a pair of mittens somewhere. Don't know where they're at. They're adult size. They're navy blue too. And of course, we're still working on the placemats. Go in the senior boxes. Told you I was a quilter. And I've done quilts in the past, and I've never shown you one, so I'm going to show you one. This is one that I have actually done the free motion quilting on. I have and pieced it. In our group, we have quite a few beginners, and what we do is when we get fabric in, we take and we cut those into 5-inch squares and put them in a shoebox, and from there we make just scrapkins. I still have to trim it down and put the binding on. I machine stitch my binding completely because I just don't like to hand stitch. I have an issue with low magnesium levels, and what happens is this hand, when I'm stitching, gets cramped into some really strange problems, strange looking claws when I do hand stitching with small needles, so I can no longer hand quilt or sew things together you know, with the really small needles. I can do it with the yarn needle size, no problem. I can probably do it with an embroidery needle. They're a little bit bigger, but some of the small quilting needles I just can't handle them. I have done quite a few placemats, and a lot of those placemats are just taking scraps and just sewing them together. They do come out kind of cute, some of them. Some of them are questionable. I always try to leave a plain backing so that if the person doesn't like the front of the quilt or the little placemat, they can always flip it over and use that side instead. This is a table runner that I've done. It is a quilt as you go. You do the blocks and then you do your quilting. And then right here in this sashing is where you actually put the two pieces together to make your table runner. And then when I do the sashing here, lots of times I'll just do some of my, you know, some of those fancy stitches that are in the sewing machine. And those of you that know that your other car is a Bernina, you know all the stitches you get, tons of them. And my other car is a Bernina. So, I'm going to tell you a little story about that Penn State. One year, one of the volunteers, her nephew was having a baby, and she had asked me to knit a sweater for him. And in this sweater, she also wanted to have PSU or the Nittany paw print. I had decided against the Nittany paw print because I wasn't sure how I could get it just right, because it's not quite the same as all other paw prints. It's shaped just a tiny bit different after the Nittany lion that was known for in this area at the time. So instead, I just, you know, did a little top stitching of PSU across it in blue. It was a white sweater. Gave it to her for the baby, and, you know, told her, like I normally do with anyone that I make baby sweaters for, once the baby has outgrown it, put it on a stuffed toy in the room, you know, as a memento, because I do them mostly in acrylic, since babies do have a lot of issues sometimes with allergies to wool. And that was what she wanted, was something like that. So when I brought it in to her, she'd asked me how much she owed me. And I told her, oh, nothing. You know, she's a friend. I do things for friends for free. No big deal. And there was a man standing there talking with another person right next to her. The two of us walked into the gift shop, and at that time, we still do it. We knit baby sweaters and blankets, and they sell them in the gift shop at the time. So I'd gone in to ask if they needed any more baby sweaters, if they had any special requests for colors or whatever, because sometimes, you know, you'll get an odd request, like someone wants a maroon colored or whatever. And, you know, there was none. And Tillman followed me in, and he told me, he said, I'm glad that you didn't charge her for that sweater, because, you know, Penn State is known for suing people who use their logo without their permission if they don't get their cut of the price. And then he went on to tell me about a story of a couple who used to knit and crochet sweaters, and they still do it, and they sell them in the farmers market in State College. And they were doing just navy blue and white sweaters, and of course Penn State fans go crazy for it because those are Penn State colors. And Penn State sued them for a portion of the sales, and they refused. So they had a cease and desist order. So they were no longer able to sell plain blue and white sweaters in State College as part of their merchandise. And I had said to the fella, I said, well, since I didn't charge anything and I had to pull all the money out, can I send Penn State a bill for the cost of the materials, you know, for their portion? And he laughed, and we had a good laugh about it. I'm telling you this because many times people who do commissions will get orders from universities to do things like that. So if you do have an order for that and you do that, just beware that you may wind up having to give some of your money up or go to court. When I was in Blacksburg, while my husband was getting his PhD at Virginia Tech, there was an 80-something-year-old woman that would go down to Joann's and she'd buy material in Penn State colors, and she made quillos. And on her quillos, which is basically the quilt folds up and goes into a pillowcase and it looks like a pillow. The pillow would have just VT on it for Virginia Tech, which technically at the time was not their registered name. As a result of this lawsuit, it is now one of their registered symbols, as well as the Hokey Turkey. But she was making those and selling them. And she was, she had a nice little income from it. There was a side income from her her pension, her retirement, and Social Security. So they sued this woman. She fought back, and she won because Virginia Tech at the time was not their registered trademark. At the time, it was still Virginia Polytechnical Institute, so they couldn't sue, so they had no right to sue her because it was not in their realm of their patent or trademark or whatever. So as a result, they got it trademarked, but they did acquiesce and they decided that, her sales were minor, it wasn't any big deal, let her keep doing it. In fact, they asked her to start doing it for their gift shop. So, just beware if you're doing that. You may get a little nick. Just don't let them know you're doing it. Don't advertise it's Penn State. Also for the hospital, we've been making baby hats for the Christmas babies that are coming up. I've already turned in about 30 of these, so I don't have any more to show you. I turn those in pretty quick. One of the other things I have off my hook is this nice little scarf. It is done in Red Heart Soft Love Metallic, like the little shiny thing. This pattern is called Lacy Crochet Scarf. I believe it's a free pattern at lacycrochet.blogspot.com, I think. I believe that's where it is. You have to look pretty hard for it. Sometimes it'll show up it's not coming up. Just keep after it, look for it, Google it. You should be able to find the pattern. I don't know if I got it off Pinterest or just came across it somewhere. Probably on Facebook. I get a lot of things on Facebook. Today, at the fire hall where I go, Senior Center, I helped do a little project that we all wanted to do. I believe there were about 17 or 18 of us that showed up for it. And we made scarves using the magic marker and alcohol on it, which was quite a bit of fun. I did mine earlier so that I could just walk around to try to help. And I'll have some pictures of some of the ones that were finished. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to put the video in there or not of the girls working on them. This was one that I had done. It's really easy to do. You draw a design, draw a line, whatever, on a silk scarf. Doesn't have to be silk. You can use chiffon. You can use cotton. I'm going to show you one that I did on a scarf that I got at AC Moore in a minute. This was the second one I had done. And, we had quite a bit of fun. Some of the gals, when they got through drawing their designs, took scrunched them up, put them in a bowl of alcohol. They came out beautiful hues of colors and all kinds of designs, and some of them are just stunning. One of the gals loves sunflowers, and I am going to post a picture of that one because that one is very beautiful. When you finish these up after you've done your designs, to set them, you just need to iron it in a silk setting for a few minutes to set the dye, or you can put it in a washing machine, a dryer on low heat or a high heat even, for depending on the item you're drying, for about 20 minutes, and it sets the alcohol. Like I told some of the girls, they weren't happy with some of their designs, and I said, well, if you didn't iron them or set them, you could actually rinse them out and see where you can go from there, or you can add to it and redo it and then set it. Which you can do that as well. Even after it's set, you can add to your scarf, apply the alcohol, let it bleed, everything else. These were some of the practice things that I had done with just plain muslin. Just playing around, having a little bit of fun. And here was some of the excess leftovers that I just blotted up with the piece of muslin, just to see how it went. I have a shirt that I don't really care for because it's plain. The only reason I bought it is because at the time I needed a new shirt and plain colors were all they had. At Walmart, of course. And I played a little bit. Did these. Bled, dried it out. And then after I got finished, I took a black Sharpie and went around and made my flowers. I still have a little bit more to do to this one. I've not set it yet, but that's just an example of some fun things. I have another shirt that I did that I was playing with. I'm still not finished with it. And I had decided I wanted to do like trees. So I drew the trees, applied the marker. You can see how they came out with the alcohol. And then I'd added some other colors in the sky, did a little there. Then down here at the bottom, I still did the same thing. I did the trees with the alcohol on. And then I took a paintbrush and spread it around to see what would happen. I still have some other things I'm going to do to it and finish up the sleeves and the back, because I want it all done. I want it all tie-dyed. Then, every year, after AC Moore, the Christmas sales, normally they have all those scarves left over that they get in for Christmas season. And they have a bunch of those Pashmina-like scarves. I got to wondering what would happen if you did a Pashmina scarf and did it with the alcohol, the markers and the alcohol. The interesting thing with that is when you do start it, I had taken it, folded it in half lengthwise, and then in half widthwise as well. Did my markings. And the thing about this material, when you start marking, because it's a different type material than just regular cotton or silk, the material starts to wick it up. You see it start to spread a little bit all by itself. And then you add the alcohol and it spreads even more. And the amazing thing is when you do black, it kind of comes out to this purple and dark blue color. And then of course I just did, some different things. Put it in the hoop. Just played. That's the whole thing about it, is just playing. And I have a video of the women playing with their scarves, doing those. And couple of pictures I'm going to put in at the very end. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast. And the funny thing is, it's kind of amazing to see how many people are scared to draw or doodle on something. Now, I did bring some coffee filters because you can practice on coffee filters. They bleed a little different than the actual materials do. You can use paper towels, draw a thing, drop the alcohol on it, and see how it works. So it does bleed a little bit different. But they're pretty close, so you get an idea of what's going to happen when you do that. Besides all the other things that I have on my hooks, and needles, the needles I haven't even bothered with, the exception of baby hats for the nursery, is this scarf that I started because, after I got through, last time I didn't have enough yarn to do to finish the neck and do the cuffs on that jacket. Had to get more yarn, so I got an extra skein of it. So now I have enough to do a scarf, a hat, and ear warmers for the sale. And that sale will be the first week of December. And if you're in the neighborhood, stop by and get some Christmas presents. We have all kinds of things. We're going to have some Christmas pillows that have been embroidered, machine embroidered, very fancy designs like with candles, angels, polar bears, those kind of things. Purses, wallets, baby sweaters, baby blankets, all kinds of things. So, we'd love for you to stop by and spend some money so we can help with some scholarships. And I got into doing some spinning. And this is a beautiful roving. It is a 40-40-20 blend of mohair, Shetland, and silk. And it is called Stuff's Midori Punch. When I saw this, to me it looked exactly like Midori. If you have ever drinking Midori liqueur, which is a watermelon base, and it's green like this, which I think it tastes like NyQuil, but I have a girlfriend that absolutely loved it, so I thought of her when I saw this. So of course I purchased it, and this is sold by, I don't think I'm going to be able to reverse that. I'm going to read it to you. Puff the Magic Rabbit, mohair and angora fibers, rovings for spinning and hand-spun yarns. She had a shop at Etsy called Puff the Magic Rabbit. Her name is Mindy Hook, and it's absolutely beautiful. And this is the first time I've ever worked with mohair, Shetland, and silk. So, I don't care for this spindle. It's a drop spindle. I prefer one that has a notch. And you can see I'm not very good at spinning, but I'm enjoying it, having fun. I have a kick spindle that I really like a lot, but I wanted to try this on the drop spindle. The funny thing is, one of my favorite spindles is one that I've made, and it's just a dowel stick that I put into a pencil sharpener for a point, screwed in a little teacup hook, had used rubber gaskets and 2 CDs. Put it up there, made my own little spindle, and I love that spindle. I've spun a lot on that spindle. I think I'd also put a washer in between the two, around the gasket and in between the two, so it has some weight to it. But I really love that spindle spinning on it. Let's see, anything else? Nope, nothing else. It's going to be a short one. The only thing I do want to say is that if you have a senior center around you and you've not visited, go visit, see what they're doing. volunteer at the senior center. Volunteer, do Meals on Wheels. I have a running joke that I go with the senior center because I'm 58 years old. I don't qualify for the Meals on Wheels, which is fine because I'm still able to get my own meals and everything. And I still, cook for my husband and myself. I don't qualify to ride the bus when they go on their bus trips because I'm not 60. So I tease them about age discrimination. Really, it's age discrimination. I've been going to the center for 10 years or more, I think. I've been there a long time. I participate in a lot of things that are going on there. I do things. When they have these bus trips, I drive my car because there's usually more people than the bus can carry, so I take the overload. So I'm still going on these trips whether they like it or not. But I'm having fun doing it. If you have some talents, share. One of the coordinators is visiting while our coordinator is on vacation, and she is from the Muncie area. She is an ex-police officer, Philadelphia area, and she is quite a spitfire. And we were talking, and she was telling us, reminding us that centers that go and stay are those that have the numbers. It's basically a numbers game. So anybody, if you want to keep and support your local community centers, senior centers, then by all means, use them. I believe they're now calling themselves healthy aging centers, or, they always come up with some kind of new name. For a long time, it was senior centers. Then it was the community centers. Now it's healthy aging centers. So who knows what they'll call it next year. You have to be politically correct these days. So by all means, volunteer. If you have something you want to share, some kind of talents, share your talents. Offer your talents. If you're a teacher, you've just retired, you teach Spanish, you taught French, German, volunteer to teach people to speak French, German, whatever. Some of the areas have Bible studies, some don't. Some have reading groups. Bingo, we have a bingo day here that's really big, so there's a lot of people that come for that bingo day, and that's something that a lot of the some of the elderly like. Of course, now the baby boomers aren't all that much into bingo, but on Mondays we have a group of ladies. They play cutthroat marbles, and it's like aggravation, but you use a deck of cards. And we've talked about starting a game of Dutch Blitz and, some other games. They do play cards there. Normally a lot of people like to play 500, so they play 500. I don't play cards. I don't care for 500. It's okay. It's kind of like spades, hearts, whatever. Know how to play it. But I prefer to craft, so I go in there for the crocheting, the knitting, and of course, like we did the scarves today. We're planning on doing it again in December. So we're kind of looking forward to that to see what happens. That's it. With that, I'm going to close. Have a good week. Have a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you after Thanksgiving. I don't think I'll podcast before then. Although I am going to one of the other centers locally next week because they're doing a paint and carry. Well, they call it craft and carry. It's a group here that has a store shop downtown Lock Haven called Craft and Carry. Craft and Carry. It's where you paint on boards or pallets or whatever for a season. And I think their offerings are we're going to do a Christmas tree or an angel. So I'm going down next Monday for that, so you'll get to see the results of that. Other than that, have a great week. See you in a couple of weeks. Go out and make someone's day a more pleasant day. Bye.
Yes, it does. It's black and it's coming out that purple. You can still see the black and white. And it, let me see if it's